สวัสดีค่ะยินดีต้อนรับแขกผู้มีเกียรติทุกท่านเข้าสู่งานปาฐกถาพิเศษในโอกาสครบรอบ 50 ปีการสถาปนาอาเซียนค่ะ
Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm ภาคบุญนุช
และดิฉันนางสาววิรัตินีวัฒนยูทวีวัฒน์เราทั้งสองเป็นตัวแทนของกรมอาเซียนและจะเป็นพิธีกรในงานวันนี้งานปาฐกถาพิเศษจะเริ่มต้นในอีกไม่กี่นาทีข้างหน้านี้ค่ะ
The ceremony will begin shortly. Please kindly be seated. Thank you very much.
ท่านรัฐมนตรีจูลี่บิชอปรัฐมนตรีการต่างประเทศเครือรัฐออสเตรเลียท่านเอกอัครราชทูตนงนุชเพชรรัตน์ผู้บริหารสถาบันการต่างประเทศเทววงศ์วโรปการแขกผู้มีเกียรติทุกท่านขอต้อนรับสู่ปาฐกถาพิเศษในโอกาสครบรอบ 50 ปีของการก่อตั้งอาเซียนซึ่งได้รับเกียรติจากท่านรัฐมนตรีบิชอปเป็นองค์ปาฐกถาค่ะ
Excellency, the Honourable Julie Bishop, MP, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Australia, Your Excellency Ambassador Nongnut Pecharat, Dean of Tewawong Varopakan Institute, Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the 50th anniversary of ASEAN Special Lecture Series with the Honourable Julie Bishop, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Australia, as keynote speaker, followed by a reception hosted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand. Today, main event will be the 50th anniversary of ASEAN Special Lecture Series titled ASEAN at 50 for Now and Posterity.
งานปาฐกถาพิเศษในวันนี้มีวัตถุประสงค์เพื่อเสริมสร้างความตระหนักรู้ของภาคส่วนต่างๆเกี่ยวกับอาเซียนอันจะนำไปสู่ประชาคมแห่งความร่วมมือที่ไม่ทอดทิ้งใครไว้ข้างหลังค่ะ
The lecture series aims to raise awareness about ASEAN among various sectors nationwide and to promote a well-informed and engaged community that contribute to foster closer cooperation in various areas as ASEAN moves towards greater cohesion and integration. Next, the ASEAN anthem will be played, and afterwards, we will show you a short video reflecting ASEAN journey from day one and looking ahead into the future.
ขอเชิญแขกผู้มีเกียรติทุกท่านลุกขึ้นยืนสำหรับเพลงประจำอาเซียน The ASEAN Way ค่ะ
And now to begin the program, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the ASEAN anthem, The ASEAN Way.
ลำดับต่อไปขอเชิญรับชมวิดีทัศน์รำลึกครบรอบ 50 ปีการสถาปนาอาเซียนค่ะ
Please be seated, and following the anthem is short video presentation of ASEAN.
บัดนี้ขอเชิญเอกอัครราชทูตนงนุชเพชรรัตน์ผู้บริหารสถาบันการต่างประเทศเทววงศ์วโรปการขึ้นบนเวทีเพื่อกล่าวเปิดในฐานะผู้แทนรัฐมนตรีว่าการกระทรวงการต่างประเทศค่ะ
May I now invite Her Excellency Ambassador Nongnut Pecharat, Dean of Tewawong Varopagan Institute of Foreign Affairs, onto the stage to give opening remarks on behalf of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Thailand.
The Honourable Julie Bishop, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Australia, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of Thailand, it is my great pleasure and honour to extend a very warm welcome to the Honourable Julie Bishop, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Australia. It is also a great honour that today the Honourable Bishop will deliver a keynote speech at the 50th anniversary of ASEAN Special Lecture Series, hosted by Tewawong Varopagan Institute of Foreign Affairs and the Department of ASEAN Affairs. Her visit to Thailand this week comes at the opportune time when the two countries celebrate the 65th anniversary of Australian-Thai diplomatic relations. Throughout 65 years, our bilateral ties are deep, close, cordial, and will cover a wide range of cooperative areas, whether they be trade and economic, business, society, education, development, people-to-people exchanges, as well as regional security. The signing of the agreement between Thailand and Australia relating to air services this morning is another step forward of our strong relations. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most important regional architecture in this region was put in place in 1967 with the signing of the Bangkok Declaration at Saranrom Palace. Until today, the declaration continues to serve as a firm foundation for ASEAN regionalism and ASEAN-led interaction amongst regional powers and players in promoting peace, progress, and prosperity within the region. 2017 is therefore a special year when we celebrate ASEAN's 50th anniversary, as well as the 43 years of meaningful cooperation with Australia. ASEAN and Australia have reached many milestones together since 1974, when Australia became ASEAN's first dialogue partner. We had our first summit in Hanoi in the year 2010. We both are planning to convene the next summit in Australia in the year 2018. Throughout the course of our 4 decades, ASEAN-Australia relations have graduated to that of strategic partnership, while ASEAN has grown to encompass all 10 countries in Southeast Asia. Against the backdrop of shifting geopolitical power balances and regional challenges, ASEAN's centrality has proven instrumental in being the linchpin of constructive multilateral engagements within Southeast Asian region. This is evident not only in the conduct of relations with our dialogue partners, but also the interactions of other regional and global powers in the region. ASEAN-led and rules-based interaction amongst nations in this context is vital to the maintenance of regional peace and stability in the region. By acceding to the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia, participating in the ASEAN Regional Forum and the Post-Ministerial Conference, Australia continues to be a vital partner of ASEAN in promoting friendship and cooperation, the principles of sovereignty and equality, as well as consensus and unity in diversity. We are also appreciative of Australia's leading role in promoting cooperation in response to non-traditional challenges, including counterterrorism and transnational crime within various regional frameworks. Ladies and gentlemen, the advent of the ASEAN Economic Community in the year 2015 heralds great promises. By 2020, ASEAN as a bloc is expected to churn out a combined GDP of $4.7 trillion. The ASEAN economy is poised to make up the fourth largest economy in the world by the year 2030. With more than 600 million population, ASEAN has become the third largest labor force in the world, only behind China and India. But we cannot rest on our laurels. We now set our sight higher economically to encompass the entire Asia-Pacific region through joining forces with Australia, New Zealand, India, China, Japan, and South Korea in creating an integrated market under the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Through RCEP, we will have almost 40% of the global GDP within our grasp, with the market size of more than 3.4 billion people. RCEP will be a major cornerstone by which our posterity interact with one another through trade and investment. In this regard, Australia, through a myriad of cooperative activities, including the Australian ASEAN Emerging Leaders Program, we can play a constructive role in furthering new business opportunities within the region through supporting social enterprises and young entrepreneurs. Australia's commitment to the New Colombo Plan also serves to drive regional integration forward. Cooperation in education, science and innovation, as well as people-to-people exchanges is one that resonates well with both Thailand and ASEAN. Such vision and commitment is complementary to our vision of Thailand 4.0 Master Plan, especially in areas of business development, sustainable agriculture, climate action, and public health. This is echoed in the proposal of His Excellency General Prayut Chan-o-cha, Prime Minister of Thailand, to host a workshop amongst entrepreneurs and SMEs in technology and innovation between ASEAN and Australia. The sharing of best practices in providing students with practical skills in STEM education will prove a win-win solution in fostering regional economic growth. Today's inaugural 50th anniversary for ASEAN special lecture series entitled ASEAN as 50 for Now and Posterity cannot be more timely as the world embarks on a collective journey towards global sustainability in the forms of Sustainable Development Goals. ASEAN, on our part, is also doing our utmost to synchronize our efforts. To this end, Thailand has been entrusted with the important task of being the ASEAN coordinator for the complementarities between the ASEAN Community Vision 2025 and the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The phrase for posterity also carries a special meaning, as it is part and parcel of the vision of ASEAN's founding fathers when drafting the Bangkok Declaration, that the organization may benefit succeeding generations. May I urge you to explore the replica of the Bangkok Declaration on display in the hall along with the exhibition outside. I wish to conclude my remarks by stating that an important highlight of the visit of the Honorable Bishop is today's meeting with His Excellency Don Paramat Vinay, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Thailand. We firmly believe that this visit will augur well for the strengthening of our bilateral relations and regional cooperation. Australia has proven time and time again throughout our decades-long relations to be an important regional ally. We will continue to find avenues of cooperation that are mutually beneficial to us all, especially in fostering economic dynamism within the region. Our leaders remain steadfast in delivering on their political blessings. I believe it is incumbent upon all of us to realize that vision and turn it into reality so that the ASEAN and beyond can be a region of peace, stability, and sustainability. I thank you all for your kind attention.
ขอบพระคุณท่านเอกอัครราชทูตค่ะ กิจกรรมวันนี้เป็นหนึ่งในการทูตสาธารณะเพื่อส่งเสริมความตระหนักรู้เกี่ยวกับอาเซียนกรมอาเซียนกระทรวงการต่างประเทศจึงได้เปิดตัวโครงการปาฐกถาพิเศษในโอกาสครบรอบ 50 ปีของการสถาปนาอาเซียนในหัวข้อ ASEAN at 50 ก้าวแรกที่ไทยก้าวต่อไปเพื่อลูกหลานเมื่อเดือนมกราคมที่ผ่านมาโดยได้รับเกียรติจากดร.สุรินทร์ พิษสุวรรณอดีตเลขาธิการอาเซียนและอดีตรัฐมนตรีว่าการกระทรวงการต่างประเทศเป็นผู้กล่าวปาฐกถาพิเศษค่ะ
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as part of our public diplomacy, Department of ASEAN Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand launched the 50th anniversary of ASEAN Lecture Series titled ASEAN at 50 for Now and Posterity on January 2017 with His Excellency Dr. Surin Pissuwan, former Secretary General of ASEAN and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Thailand as keynote speaker, followed by another lecture also by Dr. Surin titled Challenges for ASEAN in the Changing Regional and Global Landscape in May 2017 in Tokyo.
ในโอกาสนี้กระทรวงการต่างประเทศโดยได้รับความร่วมมือจากสถานเอกอัครราชทูตออสเตรเลียประจำประเทศไทยมีความยินดีเป็นอย่างยิ่งที่ได้รับเกียรติจากรัฐมนตรีว่าการต่างประเทศออสเตรเลียเป็นผู้กล่าวปาฐกถาพิเศษในโอกาสนี้ค่ะ
And today, in close cooperation with Australian Embassy in Bangkok, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand is proud to have Your Excellency the Honourable Julie Bishop, MP, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Australia, as our keynote speaker.
รัฐมนตรีบิชอปเป็นสตรีคนแรกที่ดำรงตำแหน่งรัฐมนตรีว่าการต่างประเทศเครือรัฐออสเตรเลียตั้งแต่ปี 2556 หลังจากดำรงตำแหน่งรัฐมนตรีเงาด้านการค้าเป็นระยะเวลา 4 ปี
Minister Bishop was sworn in as Australia's first female Foreign Minister on September 2013, following 4 years in the role of Shadow Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade.
ระหว่างการดำรงตำแหน่งรัฐมนตรีบิชอปได้กำกับดูแลการขยายตัวทางการทูตออสเตรเลียครั้งใหญ่ที่สุดในรอบ 40 ปี โดยริเริ่มแผนการโคลัมโบฉบับใหม่และมีโครงการ Innovation Exchange เพื่อหาแนวทางแก้ปัญหาเพื่อการพัฒนาอย่างยั่งยืน
Minister Bishop has also overseen the single largest expansion of Australia's overseas diplomatic presence in 40 years, introduced the new Colombo Plan to support Australian undergraduate students to study and undertake internships in the Indo-Pacific region, and established the Innovation Exchange within the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade to develop creative solutions to long-standing development challenges. May I now invite Her Excellency onto the stage for the special lecture, please.
Thank you, Ambassador Nungnut, for your kind words, and thank you for the introduction, honoured guests. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be back in Bangkok, my second visit as Foreign Minister, although I have been here as a tourist on many occasions over many decades. I began my day this morning with an early morning run through Lumpini Park, and I joined hundreds, it seems, of local people embracing brisk exercise, not just the physical and mental, but also the spiritual. And it reminded me again how the Thai people are able to bring such balance into their lives. I then paid my respects at the Grand Palace, expressing the condolences of the Prime Minister, the Government and the people of Australia on the passing of your beloved monarch, His Majesty King Ramos IX. I have now just completed a very productive and comprehensive meeting with Minister Don, and now it is indeed a great pleasure to be here at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on this significant anniversary. 51 years ago, here in Bangkok, Thailand played a leading role in helping to resolve what was then a significant regional conflict, Konfrontasi. The Indonesian Foreign Minister, the Malaysian Deputy Prime Minister met with Thai Foreign Minister Tanat Korman, and they came up with a way to manage the regional tensions that gave rise to that conflict. That idea was for an association of Southeast Asian nations, a regional community of countries that shared geography and history, and a desire to see a more unified and therefore influential Southeast Asia. As Foreign Minister Tanat put it at that time, quote, "The nations out here in Southeast Asia are small. If they can learn and find ways and means to band together and cooperate with one another, they may eventually be able to shape and implement a positive and concerted policy without being squeezed or crushed by the weight and pressure of larger countries." Bringing together 5 countries, its key goals were ambitious: to accelerate economic growth, social progress and cultural development, to promote regional peace and stability, to promote Southeast Asian studies, to promote collaboration, mutual assistance and trade. And so 50 years ago, here in Bangkok, a new phase in the history of Southeast Asia began with the birth of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. ASEAN's creation in Bangkok testifies to Thailand's leadership role and its influence over security and development issues in Southeast Asia. When the Bangkok Declaration was signed at Saranrom Palace, the former headquarters of Thailand's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, on the 8th of August 1967, Australia saw the huge potential of ASEAN. Australia's then Foreign Minister, Sir Paul Hasluck, welcomed the formation of ASEAN the very next day, on the 9th of August, noting Australia enjoyed close and friendly relations with all of its members and gave our support for its objectives. 7 years later, Australia became ASEAN's first dialogue partner. Our formal and informal links have grown and deepened ever since. The ASEAN-Australia-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement, which entered into force in January of 2010, remains ASEAN's most comprehensive free trade agreement. Australia and ASEAN recognised our strong and long-standing ties by declaring ours a strategic partnership in 2014 and by agreeing to hold biennial leaders' summits, the first of which was held last year. 50 years on, Australia's support for the objectives of the 1967 ASEAN Declaration remain, and our partnership with the ASEAN has become a decisive element of our foreign policy. Economic growth, social progress and cultural development in this part of the world have been truly transformational. I note that Thailand was instrumental in the inclusion of Cambodia, Myanmar and Laos PDR into ASEAN in the late 1990s and advocated for the expansion of ASEAN more generally. Now comprising 10 nations, ASEAN makes up the 3rd largest population in the world with a combined GDP of more than $2.5 trillion. ASEAN economies comprise the 3rd largest economy in the Indo-Pacific, behind only India and China, and indeed the 5th largest in the world. ASEAN's digital economy is projected to grow by 500% and be worth more than $200 billion by 2025 on the back of nearly 750 million mobile connections. This region's transformation is remarkable. Take this one statistic. Extreme poverty in East Asia and the Pacific reduced from 58% in 1990 to 4% in 2015. Australia's strong ties with ASEAN are based on a clear-eyed assessment of our shared interests and values. Australia and ASEAN are both clear beneficiaries of the international rules-based order that has underpinned our growth and prosperity. That order and the open economic architecture that ASEAN and its partners have developed has allowed Australian and ASEAN economic engagement to flourish. ASEAN is our 3rd largest trading partner. The economies of ASEAN and Australia complement each other and have brought new levels of prosperity to our peoples. We benefit from ASEAN's economic vibrancy and we support ASEAN integration, which makes the economies of Southeast Asia more open and easier to navigate for Australian businesses. As part of Australia's $730 million development program to the countries of ASEAN, Australia supports ASEAN economic integration through the flagship ASEAN-Australia Development Cooperation Program 2, $57 million over 5 years. This program is the latest iteration of economic cooperation with ASEAN that started in the 1970s, shortly after Australia became ASEAN's first dialogue partner. At a recent review with our ASEAN ambassador, ASEAN described this program as changing the landscape and leading the way partners work with ASEAN. It is supporting ASEAN's connectivity agenda and narrowing the development gap between the ASEAN economies. We also cooperate in counter-terrorism, cybersecurity, maritime cooperation, immigration and border control, anti-human trafficking, law enforcement, education and disaster management. The $50 million Australia-Asia program to combat trafficking in persons demonstrates Australia's commitment to helping ASEAN address shared challenges. This program connected Indonesian law enforcement to counterparts in Cambodia, Myanmar and Thailand, which assisted with the successful prosecution of traffickers charged with enslaving more than 1,500 fishers in Indonesia's Maluku province in 2015. However, perhaps the most important factor binding Australia and ASEAN are our extensive personal ties forged through education, our diasporas and our communities. Almost 1 million Australian residents in a population of 24 million claim ASEAN ancestry. Our forebears would be pleased by the progress we've made under the framework they established and at the depth of the ties between Southeast Asia and Australia. At the same time, our region faces challenges. We are witnessing an historic shift of power to and within the Indo-Pacific region. Rising tensions in the South China Sea are a challenge to regional stability. The pursuit of national interests is testing the norms and rules which have served our region for so long and which are the basis of our security and prosperity. North Korea continues to defy the United Nations Security Council with its illegal missile and nuclear weapons programs. There is a compelling need to defend the rules-based order in the region. We need resilient and clear processes to manage conflict and the maintenance of the norms that apply equally to all states, large and small. ASEAN established the East Asia Summit as the preeminent leader-level forum for the discussion of strategic issues affecting the region. Australia strongly supports the East Asia Summit. Australia is mindful of the profound nature of the shifts through which we are living. This is why I've commissioned a foreign policy white paper to be delivered this year to help Australia establish a strategic framework for the years ahead. The issues we will address include economic, industrial and social disruption driven by unprecedented innovation, technological change and changing demographics, weak global growth, the scourge of global and regional terrorism inspired by violent extremism, climate change and substantial development issues including a major infrastructure backlog and lagging progress on gender outcomes. That said, our region faces these challenges from a position of strength that must give rise to optimism. ASEAN and its partners have achieved much in 50 years. Our shared history gives me confidence that we can rise to meet the challenges of the future and take advantage of the opportunities. Prime Minister Turnbull will deepen our engagement next year by hosting the ASEAN-Australia Special Summit of Leaders, and we look forward to welcoming all leaders of ASEAN for this important event in Sydney in March. The ASEAN Special Summit is an unprecedented opportunity to further strengthen Australia's strategic partnership with ASEAN, delivering tangible economic, political and security benefits. Closer integration around the region is not the perhaps radical and untested proposal that it was back in 1967. Today, the benefits are clear. Thailand's ambition for regional integration through its support for the establishment of the ASEAN Free Trade Area and a program for comprehensive tariff reduction saw the creation of a common market for Southeast Asia. Australia remains a strong supporter of the ASEAN economic community. Since 1967, we've worked hard to build cross-regional understanding and collaboration, particularly through education. Nearly 100,000 students from ASEAN countries studied in Australia last year in 2016. We're immensely proud that so many ASEAN alumni have gone on to substantial careers over many decades. For example, Thailand's Minister of Digital Economy and Society, Dr. Pishet, studied at the University of New South Wales and was awarded the 2017 Australian Alumni of the Year. Since becoming Foreign Minister, I've placed a particular focus on education by establishing the new Colombo Plan, a reversal of the original Colombo Plan, a government program that provides Australian undergraduates with support to live, study and undertake internships in one of 40 nations in our region. I was pleased that Deputy Prime Minister and former Foreign Minister General Thanasak was able to join me for the launch of the new Colombo Plan in Thailand in May 2015. In only 4 years, nearly 8,000 of our 18,000 new Colombo Plan students have undertaken programs in ASEAN countries. They've reached every ASEAN nation. Thailand has proved particularly popular. By the end of this year, more than 900 of our new Colombo Plan students will have come here in search of new skills, ideas, perspectives and inspiration. In 2017, over 3,000, in fact 3,138 Australian undergraduates are being supported to undertake study and work-based learning across ASEAN nations. I'm particularly excited to announce today that in 2018 this number will nearly double. Next year, the new Colombo Plan will support nearly 6,000 Australian undergraduates to study and become interns in the public and private sectors of ASEAN countries. Another exciting area of collaboration between ASEAN and Australia, and a key focus for Thailand, is in innovation. Linked by the internet, there's extraordinary potential for far-reaching changes in the way people live and work and communicate. The private sector is a major driver of that change, and I've been particularly keen in government to bring the spirit of innovation to Australia's almost $4 billion Overseas Development Assistance Program. I established the Innovation Exchange within the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade as an incubator for new thinking, new technologies and approaches on overseas development assistance. 3 years on, the Innovation Exchange is driving new approaches in many areas. It's supporting, for example, faster, cheaper and easier movement of goods and people across the greater Mekong sub-region. A one-stop shop approach to border, customs and immigration has led to a 50% fall in passenger crossing times between Vietnam and Laos at that border. It's exciting that this approach is about to be adopted between Thailand and Laos, with a similar one-stop shop opening on the border of these two countries. Similarly, in Vietnam, Australia is helping to develop innovative approaches to climate change adaptation to improve access to safe water and to make prawn production more sustainable, all through ideas generated in our Innovation Exchange. Ladies and gentlemen, 50 years on, the central and essential role of ASEAN is recognised and respected by the great powers of the world. In a period of opportunity and challenge, we'll need to strengthen that role and standing of ASEAN so as to advance peace, freedom and prosperity in the region and beyond. Much depends on the ability of like-minded nations working with ASEAN in supporting and defending the international rules-based order. When ASEAN speaks with one voice, its power and influence should never be underestimated. I look forward to Thailand's chairmanship of ASEAN in 2019 and working with all its members as we commence ASEAN's next 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the insightful and inspiring keynote speech. Please remain on the stage for the Q&A session.
ลำดับต่อไปขอเรียนเชิญท่านบุษดีสันติพิทักษ์อธิบดีกรมสารนิเทศและเคยดำรงตำแหน่งเอกอัครราชทูตคณะผู้แทนถาวรไทยประจำอาเซียนดำเนินรายการถามตอบค่ะ
For the Q&A session, may I invite Her Excellency Busadi Santipitak, Director General of Department of Information at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand, former Ambassador and the Permanent Representative of Thailand to ASEAN, to the podium and kindly be our moderator.
Thank you, Excellency. The Honourable Julie Bishop, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Australia, Your Excellency Ambassador Nongnut Pecharat, Dean of Tewawong Waropagan Institute for Foreign Affairs, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a pleasure for me to act as a moderator for this Q&A session, and I wanted to reassure you it's by coincidence that today the women are controlling the stage. And of course, I'm very pleased, and I think Minister Bishop's enlightening and thought-provoking lecture has certainly inspired our audience to raise a few questions and continue the discussions. Minister Bishop has given us a tour d'horizon of developments of ASEAN over the last 50 years, and of course, Australia's constructive role since ASEAN's inception and as ASEAN's first dialogue partner only testifies to the fact that the future holds vast opportunities for our collaboration between ASEAN and Australia on regional and global issues. And of course, what will be the future prospects, it's also up to you to raise these questions and present your views and comments. So the floor is now open for a few questions and comments. I would like to ask those who would like to pose questions to Minister Bishop to raise your hand so that we can give you a microphone. And of course, before stating your question or comment, please kindly identify yourself and the affiliation, and to gently remind you, we are running a tight schedule, so please kindly be brief. Please, the floor is now open.
Thank you very much for your inspiring speech, Excellency. I am Ondaporn Philngon, a newly recruited diplomat and also an alumni from the University of New South Wales in Australia. Never have I thought to be speaking to you today as the first female foreign minister of Australia. I believe you have been a great inspiration for all female diplomats here, including myself. And having lived in Sydney for 3 years, I have been impressed by how the city and the nation as a whole managed to bring peace and unity despite diversity. And because of this, I would like to ask Your Excellency on your views as how to make ASEAN, with its multiculturalism, into a peaceful and unified community. Thank you.
I believe the question is, what advice would I give ASEAN on how to ensure it continues to be a peaceful and unified community?
Yes.
Given that we are celebrating ASEAN's 50th anniversary and that a number of countries have joined ASEAN in that time, so that it now numbers 10 nations, we should marvel at its ability to combine the different political, economic, historical, cultural, social elements of 10 countries. And as I said, when ASEAN speaks with one voice, it is indeed a powerful influence on regional outcomes. I believe that there is a deep understanding amongst the ASEAN countries of the importance of putting differences aside and focusing on the strengths of ASEAN, that is the joint commitment to values and interests that advance not only the agendas of the member countries but the region as a whole. In terms of diversity, I think the ASEAN nations have embraced their differences as one of its strengths, and issues like gender equality, the empowerment of women and girls, are some of those cross-cutting issues, if I can put it that way, that will continue to underpin the strength of ASEAN moving forward. Australia doesn't seek to lecture other countries on what they should or should not do. All we can do is demonstrate by our experience what we have learned, what we have found works for us, and share our experiences and our practices with other countries. Australia is currently in its 26th consecutive year of economic growth. That has come about through continuing economic reforms. We're also one of the most successful multicultural nations on earth, welcoming to Australia people from every country around the world. And so we can share our experience, we can stand as an example of the outcomes of the policies we've adopted. But I think that in looking at ASEAN's success, I believe that the countries have very much focused on the values and interests that will ensure ASEAN endures as a positive force for good in this region.
Thank you. Next question, please. Please, Ambassador Somkiat.
There's one down there. I can see him.
Thank you. My name is Somkiat Ariyapatya, former ambassador of Thailand to a few countries, several countries. I am now a senior fellow at ASEAN Studies Center, Chulalongkorn University. Thank you very much for your lecture, and your profound thinking about ASEAN-Australian relationship. We have been through for the last 50 years. And as Lee Kuan Yew once said, when we look into the future, we have to look for another 50 years, what will happen, to the world. So I like to seek your view as Australia is a key player in the Asia-Pacific region. What do you see from Australian point of view as the economic and political challenges for our region? Perhaps in the next 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, if you can. Thank you.
Please.
As I mentioned in my speech, Australia is currently developing a foreign policy white paper to put in place a framework to guide our foreign policy and our responses and our initiatives over the next decade. And I can tell you one of the challenges is trying to imagine what the next decade will look like. It's impossible to predict the future, but what we can do is put in place policies that reflect our values and interests and priorities at this time that we hope will stand us in good stead. And I would suggest that that's an approach that ASEAN would take to look at, say, the next decade, and each decade look at the next decade. What are the values and interests and priorities collectively for the ASEAN countries? The kind of challenges that we face are becoming evident now and will no doubt increase if left unchecked in the years to come. I mentioned a number of them. In our region, we want to see continued economic growth, but with elements of protectionism and economic nationalism becoming evident in some countries. ASEAN and Australia must continue to advocate for free and open trade and the liberalised trading system that has seen so many countries lift people out of poverty and has driven economic growth. So we must be advocates and champions for free and open trade. On the political front, obviously, we want to see the will of the people reflected in the formation of governments. And there are many different political systems in our region, but we want to ensure that the people have their say as to who represents them and who makes decisions on their behalf. We also believe very much that the international rules-based order that has essentially been in place, instigated, promoted, defended and guaranteed by the United States since the Second World War, continues to be upheld because it provides the norms and the practices that guide the behaviour of states and, importantly, how states behave towards each other. And I believe that that international rules-based order is currently under pressure, and countries that have benefited from it should be the strongest voices in support of the international rules-based order. Issues like global terrorism require a global response, and in our region we are seeing elements of the Middle East conflicts emerging in our part of the world. This requires a united front from our region. In other areas of transnational crime, in people smuggling, human trafficking, modern slavery, all of these challenges, some old, some new, some evolving, must be met by a comprehensive and united response from like-minded countries in the region. That's why Australia is so keen to continue to work with the ASEAN countries on tackling a number of these issues. Specifically, North Korea presents a real and present threat to our region and beyond. It's not within the capacity of one country to resolve this. It will take a number of countries to work together to persuade North Korea to abandon its illegal ballistic missile and nuclear weapons programs. So I think the importance of ASEAN assumes even greater significance as we recognise that the challenges and the opportunities must be embraced by groups of like-minded countries, which is why we're so keen to continue to work with ASEAN, and I think it will be reflected in Australia's foreign policy white paper.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that the key issues that you have mentioned will be the focus of the discussions in the forthcoming ministerial meetings of ASEAN this weekend in Manila. And I think because we are running out of time, I wish to thank Minister Bishop for her time in answering all the questions very comprehensively and succinctly. And thank you for your kind attention and for your cooperation in the Q&A session.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Please kindly remain on the stage. We also thank Director General Busadi for her kind assistance as moderator.
ขอบพระคุณท่านอธิบดีกรมสารนิเทศสำหรับการดำเนินรายการถามตอบค่ะในลำดับต่อไปขอเชิญเอกอัครราชทูตนงนุชเพชรรัตน์ขึ้นบนเวทีเพื่อมอบช่อดอกไม้แก่รัฐมนตรีบิชอปค่ะ
Now may I please invite Her Excellency Ambassador Nongnut Pecharat, Dean of Tewawong Varopagan Institute, Foreign Affairs, to present a flower bouquet to keynote speaker. Excellency, please kindly remain on the stage for a group photo session. And now to join Her Excellency Foreign Minister and Her Excellency Ambassador for a group photo opportunity, may we also invite onto the stage
Your Excellency Tet Bunnak, former Minister Foreign Affairs of Thailand.
Your Excellency Sawanit Kongsarit, former Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Thailand.
Your Excellency Chaisiri Anaman, Advisor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Thailand.
Your Excellency Mr. Paul Lobiliet, Australian Ambassador to the Kingdom of Thailand.
Your Excellency Dr. Chitriya Pintong, President of the ASEAN Association Thailand, former Deputy Permanent Secretary of Foreign Affairs of Thailand. ในโอกาสนี้ขอขอบพระคุณแขกผู้มีเกียรติทุกท่านที่เข้าร่วมงานปาฐกถาพิเศษในวันนี้เพื่อเฉลิมฉลองในโอกาสครบรอบ 50 ปีของการสถาปนาอาเซียนค่ะ
Thank you very much, Your Excellency and distinguished guests, for joining us here today.